Three, two, one, go.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to 1 Million Cups Fort Worth. We're so excited to be here today and have a wonderful special guest to give us an educational program on how to put processes in your life and how in your business, how you need those. And so we're excited for that. But first, I'm going to share my slides. Maybe. Well, maybe not. No, there we go. Welcome to 1 Million Cups. Today is August the 5th. It was just July 30th, a day or two ago, and time is moving so quickly. But today, we're going to talk about what 1 Million Cups is and how it can affect our community and our lives. And we invite you all to continue to come. Whoops, no, it's not that time yet. Our mission in 1 Million Cups is to lower the barriers for all entrepreneurs and those who want to be an entrepreneur so that they may have access to education and the many, many, many resources that we have available in Fort Worth. Our purpose is to help those with a business idea overcome any economic independence. Actually, I think that should be dependence through the power of education and community. We connect innovative minds with educational resources, such as our speaker today, with authentic experiences and each other. And that's the one thing we are proud of 1 Million Cups is that we have connections and we can make those connections to you. And how do we do that? By having our meeting every week so that other members can meet, we can gather and share ideas and things on the way to do it. So this morning, we have Mr. Michael Wilson, and the name of his company is Processology. And I met with this young man not long ago, and he is just brilliant in his processes.
Thank you.
He and I talked for about an hour before we finally decided we needed to both go back to work. But he has some amazing idea on how we can put processes into our business and the importance of them. So this morning he is going to have 40 minutes. He's our educational speaker for today. And we'll have 20 minutes of question and answers afterwards. So let me introduce Mr. Michael Wilson of Processology.
Hey everyone, thank you. Super excited to be here. So today we're going to be talking about some processes, mainly on how to operate better to live better. So if I can, I'll share my screen. Can you guys see that okay?
Perfect.
Awesome. So I'm going to move this here actually. Perfect. All right, so like I said, we're going to be talking about how to operate better to live better. And all of this is going to really start with, in your business, is cleaning up those revenue leaks and operational gaps. So what you're going to learn is what processes are. So what it is that, what is an actual process? Processes versus business processes. Why should you care? And the good news. So, and that's, we're going to talk a little bit about process management. So before we jump in that, I do want to tell you a little bit about who I am. So I have about 16 years of entrepreneur experience. I've started many companies. I've consulted many companies. on how to improve business operations, on how to improve efficiency and effectiveness. My mission is really at the core is to help people live better. We spend a lot of time running businesses. And if you're like me, you love running businesses and you love being creative and a visionary. But for me personally, I also believe we have another side of our life, right? Our family, our friends, traveling, doing all the things that we want to do. And a lot of times as a business owner, that business starts to take over our life. And so a little bit about my story, which we'll talk about here in a second, on why I started Processology. And I think a lot of you will probably relate to the story as well. But before we jump into that, one of my favorite quotes is, all organizations are perfectly designed to get you the result you are now getting. If you want a different result, we must change the way we do things. So I love that quote, right? Because whatever you're getting right now, your processes, the way that you go through life, the things that you do in your morning routine, all of that is giving you the results that you are currently getting, right? So for me, as you can tell, I'm a big guy, right? So if I want to be a smaller guy, I need to change my process, how I work out and things like that. So again, my vision for myself was to own a successful business, have a family, travel the world, do all this stuff. I actually didn't start off wanting to be in business processes. I actually wanted to be an architect. And that just didn't pan out for me. I had pretty much a choice of going to college or figuring out how to survive on my own. And so I had to get a job and figure out how to survive on my own. And so that architecture dream kind of went away. At least I thought it went away. But fast forward 20 years, and I became somewhat of an architect of business operations. So running all of the businesses that I've started and consulting clients, one of the things I saw is you kind of get this feeling that there's no end in sight, right? It's one of those things where your business is counting on you to run it. Maybe your team's dropping the ball, things aren't getting done, and it just becomes this huge headache that you almost feel trapped in because you've invested so much that walking away is not an option either. So it's one of those things we have to figure out, okay, how do I get this business to actually work for me instead of me feeling like I'm going to be pulling out my hair for the rest of my life trying to operate this company. So for me, I discovered that, it was really harder than it needed to be. I was operating in a way that stressed me out, that stole all of my time, so I didn't have freedom of choice, any of that. So then I came to this realization that the reason that was happening is because I unknowingly designed my business to give me that result. So for me, I want to take the path to least resistance to profitability and happiness in my life. And so I had to figure out, how do I do that? And what I learned is that, I'm not the only one that was feeling that way, right? A lot of businesses have what I call process mayhem or process madness. And that's where your processes are all over the place, right? So no matter who you are, you have processes, right? Processes define how we get things done in our organization, regardless of size, type, or location, right? We have 80% or more of businesses that fail. 72% of all organizational problems are hidden within broken business processes. 75% of top talent leave due to workload or value, right? Like what the work you're putting on them is not worth the paycheck they're getting. And in the world that we live in today, you can go start a YouTube channel and be a millionaire. So it's more important than ever to make sure that we are creating the right cultures in our company and not overworking and overwhelming our teams. 82% of struggling businesses don't have strategic processes in place, right? For me personally, I feel you deserve peace and I feel you deserve a predictable business. So what is a business process? So what is a process? So process is basically everything you do, right? It's how you get up in the morning, get the kids ready. It's how you make your morning coffee. It is literally everything. How you onboard your next client, how you onboard your next employee. Everything we do, processes lay out the steps that we take to get the desired result. So the problem here is that we have unclear strategies and procedures in place in most businesses, little to no strategic processes in place, which we just mentioned, revenue leaks and operational gaps in the process and the systems. A big one is going to be like process handoffs. Like if you are working with a partner or working with multiple teams in your company, actually handing a task, like say something from marketing to sales. A lot of times it's a handoff in communication of marketing saying one thing to a customer, sales saying another thing, and now you just confuse the customer, they lost trust in your business, and that's what we call a process handoff issue. So those are very common within most businesses. No matter what department it's in, you have handoffs. So unclear communication, again, that's back to handoffs and just communicating what processes are to your team. If you follow me on social media, you probably hear me talk a little bit about things about like having processes in your head. So when it comes to communication, if you have a process in your head, it's really hard for the next person to know what to do because they're not in your head, right? So we really want to get those processes out of our head, document it so that we can communicate that to our team on what those expectations are, as well as them having a source a resource to reference when they need to figure out how to accomplish something in our companies. So an inconsistent message flow. This is more on the marketing side where you start off with one message to a customer, and then as they flow through your customer journey, that message changes. Prime example, looking at something the other day that said that a water filter cleaned 3 times as much as the leading brand, and on another page it said 2 times as much. So it's like, okay, which one is it, right? So those are things that you definitely want to make sure are clear as well so that people don't get held up throughout the process. So symptoms. Here, this is kind of some things you may be feeling. So things like maybe you're struggling to attract and convert leads. Maybe you're struggling to deliver your service in a timely manner, so you're getting bad reviews and things like that. So collecting and understanding data. Maybe you are not collecting the right data, so you don't really understand why something is happening or not happening in your company. Communication. So this is internal, external communication. We talked a little bit about that a second ago. User experience. So customers, employees, vendors, and partners don't understand your process, or they, maybe they're dropping the ball because they don't truly get what your desired outcome is. Low customer retention, low employee retention, inefficiencies, redundancies, and bottlenecks, right? So a lot of businesses have pretty much all of these at some point or another in their business. So then you also have things like tracking inventory, lack of insight, manufacturing. All of these can be symptoms of things that, if you're struggling in those areas, can all be a symptom of a process problem. So in this case, size does not matter. So you have processes. That's one thing that I want you to leave for this presentation with, is that no matter what size your company is, what industry you are in, where you're located, does not matter. You have business processes. So a better question is, are your processes efficient and effective? Are they serving me or costing me, is the question you want to ask yourself. A lot of times, you may be getting to your destination, but it's taking more time, more resources, and more revenue to accomplish your mission. So imagine this. So imagine where you currently are today in your business and your vision where you want to be, right? So maybe you're a 5-person company, maybe you're a 200-person company, and you want to grow by 20%, 30%, whatever that looks like for you. Now, let's also imagine that where you are is California, where you want to be is New York, right? So let's imagine we're going to go on a road trip. So a lot of us, what we do, and the mistake that we make in our business, is that we go straight after making it look amazing. Beautiful website, beautiful branding, right? We look great on the surface, but under the hood, we're rusty, we're leaking, all kinds of problems, right? Because we didn't invest in those processes. We just kind of did what made sense as we started operating our company, instead of strategically planning out those processes to get exactly what it is that we want from our business. And some people are operating with this. They haven't invested in the outside or the inside of their business. And they're hoping to get results, right? They have a vision and they want to get there of whatever that is for them, but they're driving this to get there. So I don't know about you, but I'm not going to drive that from California to New York personally. So what you really want to do is get rid of that, get rid of this, and you want to figure out, okay, how do I live a better life, right? Because those vehicles that I showed you a second ago, you're going to be breaking down along that entire journey if you make it at all, which is going to be extremely stressful and extremely frustrating. So right now, we're going to talk about the current state and what most people see when they're operating their business. They see business or life. So either you're living too much and not investing enough into your business, or you're investing everything into your business and you're not living enough. And so either one of those become very stressful, right? Because if you're investing all in your business, you don't have a life, right? Everything is going into that business, everything you have, right? You're not making it to your kids' games. You're not taking vacations. You're not going on date night anymore. None of that stuff exists anymore. And if you're investing into your life too much, then now you're not investing into the business, right? You're not growing. You're not selling. You're not going to conferences and networking. You're doing all the things that you need to do to grow your business. So you really want to be somewhere in that golden zone. You want to be in the middle where you're investing in your business and in your life, so where you're getting both. And the only way to do that is to design processes to give you both. And a clear example of the way that I do this is I set boundaries in my business. I don't do meetings before 8 o'clock, and I don't do meetings after 4:30. Why? Because I want to be home for dinner every night. I want to be able to spend time with family in the morning. So I make sure that I have those things in place. And for some people, that's going to make them uncomfortable. And that's okay. Those just aren't the people for me. So you have to be comfortable putting the right things in place to design the life and the business that you want for yourself. So what you really want is a car that looks amazing and an engine that's going to get you there with no problem, right? And so for my car enthusiasts, I'm going to say this because I've had comments of this. I know this is a Tesla and it does not have an engine. I just think it's a beautiful car, so I used it. So what does a business care about, right? What does it truly care about? And to be honest, in my opinion, a business cares about one thing, and that's survival. It doesn't matter if it has to work you 20 hours a day. It doesn't matter if it has to take everything from you. It doesn't care about you eating. It doesn't care about your family. It doesn't care about any of that. It cares about, how do I survive? And if I need to work you and your team all day, all night to do it, that's what I'm going to do. So what does that mean for us? That means that it's our responsibility to set those boundaries. Our responsibility is to put the right process in place to allow us to have both. So you can either be stressed out and all about business, or you can have business, peace of mind, family, and living your best life. You can have them both if you strategically plan your business and your life. Now, one of the things that a lot of us do in our business unknowingly is that we start to invest our time, money, resources, and our freedom into a bucket with holes that is leaking. So everything we invest is pouring out the bottom. So we feel like we're on this rat wheel that never stops, right? It's just constantly turning, constantly turning. And then we hear some guru online that says, hey, you need automation. So then we go and invest in automation. And now we're automating into a bucket that leaks, right? So we're still cleaning up. Now we're spending more money, more time, more effort. So that automation that was meant to help us is actually causing us more work, because now we have to fix that as well. So where you want to get your business is into a place where you fill all those revenue gaps, you fill all those operational leaks, and your bucket is actually able to sustain and hold, in this case, water, let's say. It's able to actually hold that, and it becomes predictable on, if I'm investing this much, I can get this much out. If I'm putting this much time, I'm gonna get this much out of it. What does that do for you and your team? Now you can start bringing people in, you can start training people, you can start putting the right things in place so that you can relax, have peace of mind, and get your freedom back to live your best life. Now you can automate, and now automation is your friend instead of your enemy. So what are some of the effects? So signs are going to be like lack of revenue, lack of clients, lack of talent, confused customers, inadequate follow-up, low task completion rates, seeming untrustworthy or unreliable to your clients. So if you told a client, hey, I'm going to follow up with you on Tuesday, and you didn't because you forgot, because you didn't have a system to track that task, or that you didn't put it on your calendar, or whatever the situation was, and you don't follow up, they're going to assume you don't care and that you don't want to talk to them and you don't want their business, right? So this is the quickest way to lose trust with them. Some of the things you may feel is overwork, stress, lack of fulfillment. If you're stressed in your business, if your team's stressed in your business, and one thing I do want to stress is this is for you and your teams. Whether you work for a company or you run a company, this is going to be for everyone. Everyone's going to feel this in the department and the things that they're responsible for. So you may lose lack of fulfillment. Something that you love doing, you no longer love because it's working you harder than it should. You may lose creativity, lose drive, feel unsuccessful, and you may have this feeling of just giving up altogether. Is this worth it in the first place? So the solution is to clearly define your strategies and procedures. Create strategic processes, untangle the revenue leaks and operational gaps, create a clear and consistent message flow in your customer journey, automate what you can, focus on selling, not building your systems. This one is huge. Depending on where you are in your company, this is huge if you're a startup or you're a solo entrepreneur. But even if you're a large company, a lot of businesses get caught up in trying to build their own systems instead of outsourcing that. The problem that comes in there is you spend all of your hours building systems instead of growing your business. And you end up with these revenue gaps or leaks in your business because when you're building your systems, you're not selling. When you're selling, you're not building your systems. So you want to outsource one of those. And then the next thing is going to be mindset and beliefs. So you're your only limit. I'm a true believer of that. If you don't think you can do it, you can't do it, right? And so that's one of the things where it's like you have to believe it. And this also comes with those boundaries. I've talked to entrepreneurs, it's like, I can't stop meetings at 4:30. And I'm like, well, why not? So, and if you believe that you can, you won't. But if you believe, you know what, I can, and I want to make my life, my family, the things that I want a priority as well, then you need to put that stuff in place. So I tell you all this to say this. What these three companies all have in common is they've all created processes. They've all put processes in place that has made it super easy to operate the businesses and has made it super easy for you as the customer to get their service. I did a post on LinkedIn not too long ago about Starbucks where they source from 400,000 coffee bean farmers and invest over $1 billion in coffee beans just to bring you a simple cup of $4 or $5 coffee, right? And so a lot of us don't think about how much process and investment and strategy goes into bringing a simple cup of coffee. But they do that to make it convenient for us, which keeps us buying because it's easy to pull up to a drive-thru and get a cup of coffee. Same thing with Uber. If you think about, they've streamlined the process of having a driver make extra money by opening an app on the phone, and a passenger open an app on their phone and get a ride to anywhere they want to go. McDonald's did that with the fast food chain. You can go and get food in 5 or 10 minutes. They've streamlined the process and they've made it super, super easy and efficient for you to eat if you want food. So in your process, you have to figure out what, in your business, you have to figure out what can I do to streamline, to make it easy for myself, to make it easy for the end users as well. And that all is going to come down to the processes that you put in place to make that happen. So what can we do to change the way that we do things? So at Processology, we typically take our clients through this roadmap of assessing your needs and opportunity improvement, uncovering your as-is processes. You cannot improve something that you cannot see. So it is extremely important to document what your as-is processes are. Once we have those documented, now they're viewable so we can actually see how you're actually operating in your business. Otherwise, you're gonna say, oh, I do this, I do that, but I promise you're missing steps in between there. And the other thing that you're not gonna see is those handoff issues as well. So you have to uncover what the as-is process is. The next stage is understanding. So this is where we're creating a viewable, learnable, and improvable solution for your processes. We're actually documenting the processes, the actual steps involved, the assets used, whether that's checklists, the web forms or systems, whatever that stuff is, all need to be documented. So if you hired a new employee or decided to expand your team, you can bring somebody in and say, hey, we have a system where you can refer every process in our business, and it is going to explain to you exactly how we want things done because we've designed them specifically to give a specific outcome. And that's where that understand part comes in. And then Untangle is all about looking at this documentation and figuring out where are the leaks, where are the operational gaps, and what can we put in place to fill those so that we can get the overall result and impact that we want to make in the world. So at Processology, we do this by going through what we call the Detangle framework. It's clarifying what the process is meant to do, collecting all the data and requirements that are in that process. This stage can include things, and I'm going through this because I want you to see you could do this yourself in some cases, depending on what the process is. Collecting all the data. This may be calling your past clients. This may be talking to your current employees. This may be digging into the data. There's all kinds of things that you can do to collect information to figure out how a process is performing. You want to catalog what those processes are. So you have your core processes. Let me back up for a second. You have your core processes, which is going to be like, for example, your marketing process. Within marketing is going to have tons of mini processes or micro processes within that. So for example, your marketing process would be how you get content out to the world, but you may have a specific process on how to do a social media post or a specific process on approving visuals for marketing or something of that sort. So you want to catalog what these different things are. and you want to compile a list in order on what's most important to fix first. What's affecting you the most, right? What's your biggest revenue leak and operational gap within that process? Then you want to put some KPIs in place to capture what's actually going to happen in that process and then create it, right? So once we know, okay, we know what the mission is, we're clear on that. We've collected all the data, so we know that we're making data-driven decisions. We know what needs to be, what processes are involved. We know what needs to be fixed first. And we have a way to capture data so we can continue to improve, because that's one thing about processes, they're never finished. They're a continuous improvement process, right? So you're always going to be improving those processes. And then the last thing is actually going and putting that process in place in your business, right? Because you can plan all you want, but if you don't execute, then it was all for nothing. So we talked a little bit about automation earlier. One of the great things about automation is it is going to give you a tool to help automate some of those repetitive tasks, which is going to make it more efficient to operate your business. In some cases, it's going to be more effective. So one of the great things is that it's a zero paycheck, right? You don't have to pay automation, right? You build it and it works. It doesn't need sleep. It works 24/7. It doesn't get overwhelmed or sick. Automation's fast, consistent, and pays attention to detail. So it can be your ultimate employee. And really for me, I look at it as more of an assistant to your employee. I'm not really a huge fan of replacing people with automation, but definitely a way to lighten the workload so that they can live better, right? So what does all this look like? So from our side, the blueprint is laying all this out into a process map. It's like stage one. And this is us discovering what the process is. In this particular one here, I won't go through it in detail and bore you guys with all that detail, but I just wanted you to see what this looks like when we start to talk about the architecture of the way you operate. And this is a super, super simple campaign. This one here is a little bit more complicated. It's actually very large, but this is all I can fit on the screen. But this kind of goes through a process if a deal is won, a phase of actually going through the process design portion and proofing, and it lays everything out. But what it does for us is that it lets us know, okay, where is this process actually leading an activity, a person, or a system, right? How is it going to flow through? What happens? What's the if, then this type of logic behind our process? Once we have this, it really allows us to say, okay, where are the bottlenecks? What can we measure? Things like that. So it's going to give you a look into your business that you've never probably really thought of before. But if you think about it, if you don't have this in your business, you're literally missing an entire layer. It's like going through life without hearing or sight or something, right? You don't get the full experience. In your business, you're operating without the full experience because you can't see everything. So right here, this is kind of like what all that turns into. So when you map all that stuff out, all that turns into the stuff that you probably already used to seeing: web forms and email automation and customer management systems and ERPs and things like that. All of that stuff is meant to support your processes. Without the processes, you're building that stuff aimlessly with no strategic plan and no strategic outcome in mind. So the ways that we help you do this, we help you explore what's possible in your business. We help you strategize on how to actually get what you want. We help you document your business processes, and we help you understand what's going on in your business. So the last thing I want to leave you guys with here is that you don't know what you don't know, right? So if you want to find your business process opportunity, we actually have a free self-assessment that you can take on our website that will give you a score and let you know your opportunity for improvement. On that score is typically going to be 1 through 20, and we actually have a scale on there that will tell you if you should look into process improvement, or if you're doing great and you don't need to reach out to us and figure out how to document and improve your processes. Even if your processes are good, it's still very important to document from a training perspective on being able to train your team on how to operate your business strategically. But that assessment is free. It takes about 10 minutes to do. And you also get an option to do a free assessment score review with us. We'll go through that and kind of help you understand what your questions were, what the questions were, based on your answers on some things that you may be able to do to start getting started with improvement. If you want to connect with me, you can do that on LinkedIn. If you want to talk to Processology, you can also do it on LinkedIn at Processology or at Mike Danny Wilson. So that'll be it for me. If anyone has any questions, I believe we're going to go into the Q&A after this.
That is correct, Michael. Thank you so much. That was an amazing presentation.
Thank you.
And people are just going along that you are awesome. So don't let it go to your head before you answer our questions.
Thank you.
But I'm going to throw out the first question here.
Okay.
I'm a small business.
Mhm.
I'm bootstrapping it myself. I'm not like all these other businesses that have tons of money that been around for a while, so I'm barely making it. How can you help me?
So as far as helping, we actually do for small businesses. So we're actually going to be launching a startup program where which will give a pretty huge discount on our services for startups that qualify. And that really, when I started Processology, was meant for small businesses anyway. But I learned very quickly that there's a huge education component to processes. As you get larger, you have no choice but to pay attention to processes. But when you're smaller, you don't really know. And so what we're doing is actually putting together educational materials and things like that. And we do have smaller programs where we can help from a coaching and consulting perspective. One of the things that I would suggest getting started with is checking out our blog. We're putting great content out on our blog about processes and educating on that, as well as on our website. We have a resource center where you can get free resources like webinars, e-guides, all kinds of things, videos and stuff like that that would also help you. The last thing I'll leave you with is this. Even if you just jot your processes down on a napkin, literally yourself, you will find opportunities for improvement. I can guarantee you that. If you lay it out, you will say, why am I doing it this way? And you will find opportunities. But you can definitely reach out to us for a free discovery call. We do offer that first discovery absolutely free. It's 45 minutes where we'll hear some of the things you have to say, and we're able to give you some recommendations. Now, obviously, it's not the same as going through our process, because that's when we're going to go through a more in-depth assessment of your actual business processes, systems you're using, as well as the life you want to live. That's something that almost every business owner that I talk to, they don't think about when it comes to their businesses. How do you want to live your life? How involved do you want to actually be in the process, right? Do you want to be holding the entire business on your back, or do you want your freedom, right? If you want your freedom of choice, you have to design your business very strategically to have that.
Great, thank you. Miss Connie, I'm going to give it to you. Did we lose her? Okay, the first question is, well, it's not a question, it's from Quincy Holloway.
Mhm.
He says, agreed, business minus process analysis equals chaos.
Yep, absolutely. We have
And
a
of
whole
course-
podcast on that, Process Madness.
Ah, yes. And Darlisa thinks you walk on water, so you're pretty amazing to her.
Thank you, Darlicia.
Sandra,
And
I'm back. I don't
Okay.
know why it wouldn't unmute me. I was talking to myself. I'm sorry.
that's okay.
Technical difficulties.
Yeah, we understand those. All right.
It
Ms.
was a
Connie.
great presentation, Michael. I just wanted to let the attendees know if they could use the Q&A, it'll help me keep up just a little bit better. Let's see, we had from LeBeau saying that it was a very true sentiment that kids today would rather be being YouTubers and make millions than work a 9 to 5.
Mhm.
And that you have a great service and an awesome presentation. Small business owners and startups often ignore process in pursuit of capital, investors, co-founders, and high-ticket clientele. Eventually, they all end up hitting a brick wall until the process is implemented. You can't scale.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Let's see, from Jimmy, are your processes are customized or are they generic?
Customized to every customer. Yeah. I mean, generic one size fits all doesn't work.
Okay, and from Lori, a great presentation. However, delivery was a bit too fast to take notes.
Mm.
And let's see, From Quincy, it's a great presentation, but best I've seen in a while. When does the practice of analyzing a business process squeeze out the chance for accidental pivot or positive unintended consequence? I'm not sure if that's a question that can be answered, but maybe there's a benefit somewhere.
Yeah, can you go through it one more time, the question for me?
Say that again?
I said, could you read the question one more time?
Yes. When does the practice of analyzing a business process squeeze out the chance for accidental pivot or positive unintended consequence?
So what I'll say is, if I even understand the question right, but the point that I make to my customers is that one of the biggest issues with improving processes with companies is not clearly defining what the end result is, the desired result. And I explain it in the sense of like you think about an assembly line that it builds cars, right? In order for that car to come out exactly the same every single time, they have to have an outcome, a desired outcome. They have to design what should it look like, what should it do, how should it feel, how fast should it go? And then they have to basically do reverse engineering to design a factory that gives them exactly that, right? And even that, you can't just lay machines in a factory. You have to strategically lay those machines out so that you take certain steps to get that desired outcome. So for me, if you clearly define the process before you even start to develop the process, and even if, let's say you already have a process in place, that's fine. In my sense, I say ignore the process in the clarity part of it. Define what it is that you want, because you might find that process is nowhere near what you need to get what it is that you want. So define exactly what it is that you want, that outcome, how involved you want to be, how involved you want your team to be, and then reverse engineer the steps to get there. And that is typically going to get you right where you want to be. And the thing that's important is to make sure that when you're designing the process, that you're defining what the KPIs are in there, the key performance indicators within that process, so that you know if you're hitting your target or if you're going in that direction or not. So I don't know if that answers the question, but hopefully it did.
Okay. Satish wanted you to know it's a great presentation. Process is key for success, and also process needs to be agile to adapt to the new world every day.
Absolutely.
From Darlisa, in your experience, what is a prime indication that a business lacks effective processes?
Well, the biggest one is if you're stressed out. So if you're not getting, but honestly, and all jokes aside, if you're not getting the results you want, right? Like I said, you're defining those outcomes. If you're not getting those outcomes, then in most cases, your processes are not working. If you're finding that you're not growing, you're not seeing growth, not even necessarily from scales, but maybe your team's not growing because you're not in a position to do so. Maybe your product isn't selling, or people aren't following you or paying attention to you. A lot of times that's going to be, that you haven't clearly defined. And I think this is really in anything, to be honest. You haven't clearly defined what the target is. So you're basically shooting at nothing in your business. So once you define what the target is, now you can determine how, if you're thinking of like archery, for example, you can determine how far do you need to pull the arrow back for the distance, how much of how high up do you need to point it to get the right arch to hit the target. Like, if you don't have a target, you can't make those type of decisions. So I would say if you're not getting the results you want, I'm not going to say it's a 100% chance that you have a process issue, but I will say that it's a 90% chance that you're dealing with a process issue and why you're not getting your results.
Okay. And Quincy had a follow-up. He said that was a way better answer than his question. Okay, from LeBeau, in your assessments of small businesses, are you recommending services/positions and roles? Some startups are on their own or full of creatives. They have no one on the team committed to processes. So how do you advise them at that point, especially if they're busy working in their business to make ends meet?
Yeah, so at the point of, like, let's just say you're a solo entrepreneur. In that sense, you still want to design what the process is, right? Because the process is designed to get you where you're trying to go, not to necessarily keep you where you are, right? So for example, if you're a solo entrepreneur and you're looking to scale, at some point in the business, you have to have the process on to get you where you want to go. Now, you may not, I tell people, you may not even be in a position to implement the entire process today because you don't have everyone on the team, right? You don't have the employees, you don't have the revenue to hire the employees. So in those cases, what we typically would recommend is that one, it still gives you structure on how to operate your business as a solo entrepreneur. And then two, now you can try to find systems that can fill those holes until you get to a point to actually hire other people. So for example, if you're thinking about, let's just say in marketing, you got social media posts, right? There's tons of systems out there that you can put in place to automate your social posting versus you going on every single day trying to post yourself, right? So that's something that takes time to do, and that's a repetitive task. So why not spend one day laying all those posts out, and then now they're, like, for example, for us, our posts are laid out from, actually, we just launched a new one from Monday that is automated all the way out to the end of October. And so I don't have to stress about creating posts every morning. So as a solo entrepreneur, just doing things like that is huge. Automating follow-up tasks is huge. If you think about, like, for us, for example, we have, if you go to our service, if you're in our system, our CRM system, and you go to our services page, you'll get an automated email that says, hey, we noticed you stopped by. Here are the ways to get in touch with us, just in case you didn't know, right? So there's a lot of tools and technology out right now to where I think that it is the best time for a solo entrepreneur to put the right stuff in place to grow their business. Where I think a lot of solo entrepreneurs go wrong is that they are taking one step in 20 directions instead of putting the right systems and people and things in place that can take leaps in each direction every day. And I get that is hard from a capital perspective of having the funds to do that, but I do think that you can do that through systems and keep that cost quite low.
Okay. And just want to let everybody know that there's still a little bit more time here for questions. You have a message from Jimmy in the panelist list. If you could look at that, asking you to call after the meeting to chat, and left you his phone number. If you can't get that, I'll copy it off for you.
Yeah, okay, that would be perfect.
And let's see, from Frankie, I work with a lot of creatives who tend to hear processes and think their passion project is going to get automated and lose authenticity and personality. How do you implement processes while retaining your personal touch and your business's heart?
So I'm assuming what they mean is automation versus processes, because everything is processes, right? But I'm assuming they're talking about when you're automating the personalization behind that. So if that's what they're saying, what they're asking, that's going to be very, so it's a combination of things. One, you want to make sure that you're using their name, right? In communication, use their business name. You collect certain data, like what city are they in? So, you know, your emails can say things like, hey, how is the weather in San Francisco, right? Because you know they live in San Francisco. There's different things. You could actually even get into things as simple as creating fields in, let's say, your CRM system that you fill in. Like, let's say when you put a new prospect in your system, you jump on their social media, you see that they're, since we're in Dallas, I'm gonna go ahead and be friendly with you guys and say that they're a Dallas Cowboy fan. And so you put that as something that they like, and you can actually use that inside of your automation, because everything doesn't have to be business, right? It could just be like, hey, how are the Cowboys doing this year? And so you can personalize your emails that way. That's one thing. The other thing is the type of email that you send out, right? Are you sending out emails and text messages that are all graphic designed to where it looks like it's automated? Or are you sending out something that looks like it's coming from you directly? So for us, for example, depending on what the email is meant to do, we decide on what the design of the email looks like. Sometimes it'll look like I just sent it to you in Gmail, but other times it'll look fully designed with banners and buttons and everything else, where that's meant to be an automated. So for example, if we're delivering an asset like an e-guide or a video access or something like that, that's gonna be more branded. But if I'm reaching out to you to say, hey, how are things going? We haven't talked in a while. I want that to look like it's coming from me directly, even if it's automated. So Those are a couple of ways that you can do it. There are many other ways that you can personalize things by putting like today's date in there, like, hey, how's your Thursday going? To keep that personalized touch and feel.
Okay. Muhammad wanted you to know that thinks that you're a legend and would love to have you on his video podcast.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Okay. And from Lori Dunham, do you provide an affiliate program?
So we don't necessarily have an official like affiliate links or anything, but we do have a referral program. Basically, what our referral program consists of is any client that you bring to us, we will pay you out 10% up to $10,000.
Okay. And it looks like that's all the questions we have right now. Does anybody else have anything?
And what
I'd
I'll
like to add something.
Yeah.
First of all, Michael, thank you so much for accommodating me. I was on my hands and knees, everybody, begging Michael to come and present for us. I'm embellishing it quite a bit. But I like to say that when I first met Michael, I met him through the North Texas Entrepreneur Education and Training Center. And I found his processology so intriguing, and it helped me a lot because with my business, it's a lot of personal one-on-one, processes. And it's always a process. So I totally agree with him. And he was able to help me kind of get my mind around my onboarding processes and things like that and other avenues of my business. So it's very intriguing. And I agree with Frankie when she said you don't want to lose that authenticity or personality in your business. So that's a way you can implement that into your processes, just like he was saying. So thank you again. And I just wanted to make that little comment.
Yeah, absolutely. And one last little gem I'll drop to you guys, because I get asked this a lot, is about networking events, right? Right now we're doing everything digital, but at some point the world's going to open back up and we're going to be back, out in the field and doing our thing. So one of the things that I talk to a lot of people is using automation for networking events, because you get so many business cards and contacts that you never follow up with at networking events, right? You end up with a stack of cards sky high on your desk, and you're promising yourself at some point you're going to do it, and then there's a point to where it's so overwhelming from seeing this pile of business cards, you just don't do it. So one great thing you can do is automate when you're on the spot. You get a business card, you could have, like, let's say a web form online. I've done this for clients in the past. You have a web form that you have access to that's password protected, that you networking event, you put their name, their number, and the name of the event, and then boom, it waits 2 hours or to the next day, whatever it is that you decide you want. And it reaches out to that person and says, hey, it was really great meeting you yesterday. I would love for us to actually sit down and have a conversation. Here's a link to my calendar. And you can actually have that in a sequence that goes out over 2 weeks after that event, so that you don't have to worry about those business cards and you don't have to worry about emailing them or following up. You can also do this using SMS, text messaging, through automation as well. So those are great ways to make sure that that you're keeping your word on following up the people that you collect cards from and that you said you're going to call. Because if I give you my card and I'm like, hey, I really want to learn about your service, can you call me? And you don't call me, I'm going to assume you don't want my business. And so I'm just going to move on. But if you use automation to help make your job more effective and more efficient, that's a great way to make sure that you're, keeping your integrity and keeping your word when you tell somebody you're going to reach out.
Okay. And from William, he wanted to let you know that that was a great presentation. From Lori Dunham, is there another way to connect with you outside of LinkedIn? Is there a contact form on your website?
There is a contact form. If you want to do the discovery call, you go to processology.net/discovery. If you just have simple questions, you can actually join. I just actually got a new text community that I've been trying to get on this program for a while. So you can actually text me directly questions on processes, and it's absolutely free. If you give me 1 second, I will get you that number, because like I said, it's new, so I do not have it memorized just yet. So, but that's one way. You can also just email me directly. It's going to be michael@processology.net.
And I think Jimmy's a little sad that said your calendar has no availability for August to book an appointment.
You know what? If you send me an email at michael@processology.net, I'm sure that I could find somewhere for us to have a conversation. Yeah, I actually, the way that my business works, I schedule out blocks of time for brainstorming, strategy, and things like that. So I can move some things around. So also the number that you can join the text community is going to be 214-251-4046. And that number you can opt in, and there's some groups in there, like if you want to follow our podcast and things like that. Everything, all communication is with me directly. I will be the one communicating. No one else will see the messages. It's just like texting your friend or someone else. It's just a way of me to get you value as quick as possible without, a bunch of noise on social media.
Okay, Michael, I want to clarify. That was 214-251-4046.
That is correct. Yep. Just text that number and follow the instructions to add to my phone book, and you're good to go.
Thank you. And thank you, Steve, for putting that in the chat. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Miss Deidre. All right. I'm not seeing any other questions, Sandra. Deidre.
Okay. I will take it back over then. And thank you so much. We appreciate you coming today, Michael.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me.
It's been a pleasure. We have got a lot of fantastic information.
Thank you.
We all get up in the morning and have processes, you're right.
Absolutely.
And some of them are good and some of them are not so good. So maybe we all need to rethink our processes from life and from educational and business standpoint. So we appreciate that. Does anyone have any announcements for the community that they would like to share with us?
Hello, this is Darlisa. I would like to encourage everyone, if you are up in Adam tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock, we are starting our online educational series. It is called Building Better Businesses Together, which will happen every first and third Thursday at 9 o'clock a.m. We will be streaming on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, what have you. So I will put the link in the chat box, but we would love for you to join us. Tomorrow we will be talking about entrepreneurial aptitude, and this is in collaboration with the Go Small Business online training program. So join us tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock on Facebook, and we would love to see you on the stream every first and third Thursday.
Thank you, Darlisa. Anyone
Sandra,
else?
I have one thing I wanted to say to everyone.
Okay.
If you want to put your information in the chat, and if somebody wants to save that information, if you'll go to the text box where you type in your questions, there's 3 little dots there to the side. And if you click on those 3 little dots, there's an option to save the chat. So that'll help you save the information that's posted there.
Awesome, Connie. Thank you. If we have no other announcements, then we're
I'm
going.
sorry, Sandra, one second.
Okay.
Lori Dunham, can you speak?
Yes, hi, good morning, everybody.
Good morning, Lori.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Fantastic.
Yeah, so Lori, introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your show.
Wow, great. Well, thank you so much for the opportunity. My name is Lori Dunham. I'm the host of the award-winning Dunham Business Radio Show, and we give entrepreneurs, nonprofits, small businesses, and even biz kids a chance to come on, talk about their product and service. But more importantly, we talk about your entrepreneurial journey, and we give inspiration and hope back to our audience who are also entrepreneurial. And my goal is to connect and promote you, get your voice out there, help you get your message out there, and help you generate a stream of clients on demand.
Thank you. She's amazing, everyone. I also like to call out someone else, Michelle Samuel. Can you introduce yourself?
Hi, Deidre. Hi, everybody. My name is Michelle Samuel, and I'm from the Caribbean island of St. Lucia. I'm actually the head organizer of Startup Huddle here in St. Lucia, and I have been sort of scheduled to join you every Wednesday, and I've been enjoying the sessions so far. I definitely am excited to partner with this team this coming November for GW this year. So I'm looking forward to that. I also wanted to make a little announcement of my own. So St. Lucia has sort of spearheaded Entrepreneurship World Cup for the national leg, and this year my organization is hosting the competition, and I would really love for you to kind of join in and take a look at the preliminaries. I posted the link there. So we have our preliminary competition that's going to be on Monday, August 10th, and we have the national finals, which is going to be held on August 12th. So I will be again sharing the links in the chat. So please take a look. There you are invited to attend. It's absolutely free. It's going to be completely online, and you'll be able to watch the pictures from the comfort of your very own home, your space, wherever it is that you are. We will be basically joining the biggest competition in the entire world. It's a really big deal for us, and also for me and my team, being the very first time that we're getting to host this. So it'll be really great to have you join in.
Well, thank you, Michelle. We are looking forward to GEW Week, just Global Entrepreneurship Week, and having you speak and tell us about it. And hopefully we'll have somebody, we'll be able to go in on August the 10th and 12th and see what is going on in Haiti. That's not right. St. Lucia. I'm sorry. So, Deidre?
Let me see. Let me go see who I can pick on now.
Deidre, we need to make sure that their information is going to all attendees, not just the panelists. I'm trying to look here.
Cheryl Hayes, hi.
Hello, how are you doing?
You knew I was going to pick on you.
Of course, but I love it. So, you know, really for RTI, not too much in the news. We're starting a small cohort, but we've already selected the people. We just decided with COVID and trying to work out meeting with a huge group that's not going to happen, you know. So we have about 5 people that are joining us for a fall cohort. And so that's exciting. If you're not familiar with, for those of you not familiar with Rising Tide Initiative, we have a 6-month program that's free to entrepreneurs. There is a deposit, but the deposit's totally refundable if you do what you say you're going to do, because sometimes we find out, like everybody, entrepreneurs have good intentions, but working in the business tends to take precedence instead of working on your business. And so we do require a $250 deposit, but you get it back, all of it back. And what we do is we kind of meet you where you are and chart a customized path for you in the cohort. It has mentoring and education program, and then lots of speaker events. So look us up on risingtideinitiative.com, and you can reach out to me, Cheryl Hayes, and I will post my my phone number and email. Texting is perfect, and so are emails, and then I'll get back as soon as I can.
Awesome sauce. So we always encourage anything that you have. If you're an entrepreneur helping other entrepreneurs and you have a program, we ask that you share your information with us, because we are a community of support. Sandra, back to you.
I would just like to add to that. that there are 170 1 million cups across the United States, and they are always looking for people to speak. So if you are planning to be nationwide with your business, go on wherever you want to move, wherever you want to expand to, fill out the application just like you did for here, and speak. You can speak globally, internationally, by getting in touch with Michelle. So unless there's something else that we need to discuss, please, if you have entrepreneur friends that are looking for a venue to come and talk about their business, please have them go to our website and fill out the application, and we will contact them. And if appropriate for our venue, we will also get them to come on and speak. So everyone have a great week, and we will see you back next Wednesday morning. Thank you and have a wonderful day. Thank you, Michael.
Great job,
Bye.
everybody.
Welcome.